What's going on, guys? Graham G.S. Matthews with FanSided Daily DDT.com here today talking with Matt Taven before Friday's Ring of Honor 19th anniversary pay-per-view live on pay-per-view on Honor Club. It's coming up on Friday, March 26th, 8 a.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. Eastern time, actually, or 8 p.m. Eastern time. There we go. Matt, what's going on today? Thanks for joining me, dude. I appreciate this.
Just waiting for Friday. Just 3 days left at this point. It seems like it's all I can think about. So
Yeah.
my life has kind of been consumed by not just my dealings with Vincent, but this pay-per-view in general. So I'm kind of just, it's one of those things where it's like it's Christmas and it's also you finally your school project's over on that day as well. It's like I'm looking forward to it. At the same time, I know it's gonna be quite the night.
Yeah, well, like you said it yourself. You're going to be in an unsanctioned match with Vincent on Friday night, a match that's a year and a half in the making, really many years in the making if you guys consider your early days in the Kingdom together. But for the last year and a half, you guys have been in odds. It's all coming to a head on Friday in this unsanctioned matchup. What can fans expect from this culmination of this year-long rivalry with you and Vincent?
I mean, this is the guy who cut me with an axe, who broke into my house, who shattered my ankle, caused another knee surgery on top of that ankle surgery. If you don't know what to expect by now, you obviously haven't been paying attention, because this is a rivalry that, like you said, has been going on for a while now. But also our time in the Kingdom, there's times where you look at your friend and you just want to punch them in the mouth for the dumb things that they do. Like, they show up late, or they example that pops right in my head. They don't get the rental car till the last minute, and then the airport's all sold out of cars. This is the kind of stuff I've been dealing with Vinny for years now. And let alone all the stuff that's happened over the past year and a half. This is something that I can think of so many memories of when we were friends and want to beat the shit out of them. I can only imagine how I'm going to feel once I finally get my hands on them after everything that's happened in the last year and a half.
Like you said earlier, this is like the culmination of Christmas and everything really kind of coming to head at once. And you tweeted this out last week that your birthday kind of came early when your match was made official for the pay-per-view. You celebrated the birthday a couple days ago. This is, in so many words, got to be like the ultimate birthday present for you, right?
I mean, I've been waiting for this moment for, since December of 2019. I mean, I had to sit through an entire pandemic just hoping that this moment would come. And there was a long time where I didn't think that it would happen. At Final Battle this year, a year later, it ends up being a tag match with me and Bennett against the Righteous, which is all fun and dandy. But in my heart, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for just me and Vinny, one-on-one, no one else around. And to go back to the PAL Hall, a place where me and Vinny have shared a lot of memories, but we've been through a lot in that building. It's thinking about it brings back times where I'd be driving from Boston down to Fall River, not really sure what I was getting into, just knowing that I loved professional wrestling, and I thought that this was my gateway into it. And I learned a lot of lessons there. And you kind of, when you go to war, you look at the people behind you, around you, and you gravitate towards one another. And Vinny and I were in there with Spike and kind of learning the ropes, and both kind of using each other to pick each other up, to say, hey man, we can do this. We can kind of, we see past this place, past training. And we saw so many people kind of come into training and vanish forever. But the two of us stuck it out. And to think that this is the building where it's going to go down after all these years is kind of, it's bittersweet. I mean, I have, like I said, I have good memories there, and now I'm probably going to erase them with the memory of trying to murder one of my good friends in this building that we used to share all these fond memories with one another. So I really can't put my finger on exactly how I feel. It's a range of emotions that have been building up for a long time, and hopefully after Friday I won't feel this way anymore.
Yeah, and you mentioned too that they're in this rivalry. There's been so many ups and downs, and the last time we saw you guys share a ring was in that tag team match at Final Battle back in December. Vincent and his crew against you and Mike Bennett, the Kingdom, the original Kingdom, the OGK. How has it been like being back by Mike Bennett's side after all these years? It was almost 5 years to the day from when you guys last teamed up at that point. So what it's been like being back with Mike and Ring of Honor?
I mean, it's one of those things where this is what we always wanted to happen. We've been waiting for this moment. We've talked about this for years now. We've been planning for this. What's going to happen when we finally do this again?
Mhm.
But unfortunately, Mike came in at a time where, Mike was good friends with Vinny as well. He came in at a time where me and Vinny are in the middle of this. I don't know what people want to call it, a feud, a rivalry. To me, it's my good friend ended up trying to use me as a launching pad by stabbing me in the back because he was jealous of all my success.
Mhm.
But uh, I still feel like me and Mike haven't had a chance to really show people what we used to do. You know what I mean? What
Mhm.
we can do, why he came back in the first place. The fact that we are, in my opinion, one of the best tag teams in Ring of Honor history. And we haven't been able to really prove that yet because of Vinny. And it's another thing that I'm hoping that after Friday, I can move past and me and Mike can kind of go off on our way and show people exactly why after 5 years, we are still the same team that we were when we were IWGP and Ring of Honor tag team champions.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, you just said it right there. That was my next question for you. You guys have so many accolades as a tag team, former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, IWGP Tag Team Champions. So hopefully at some point we can see you guys back in the title picture when this is done and over with. You mentioned how this has been something with Mike that it's been brewing for a while. You always imagined that moment where you guys would be able to reunite in Ring of Honor. Did you ever think there would come a point, because obviously before the whole Vincent thing happened and the betrayal happened a year and a half ago, you were still very much running with the Kingdom for a few years there. Did you ever think there would be a point where we would get like a Clash of the Kingdoms type of thing? Or was it more of a wait and see approach? And if the opportunity presents itself, we'll kind of just ride with it, regardless of what the circumstances are.
I mean, I don't, it was one of those things where Mikey knew or knows Vinny as long as I have.
Yeah.
And when TK came into the Lockup Academy, we always had used that school as kind of a home base. We'd go back there from time to time and we'd roll around and kind of wrestle with the trainees, knock some ring rust off ourselves. And TK was one of those people that all three of us, Mikey, myself, and Vinny, all saw come up right away and said, oh, this guy could be something. So it's, to me, it was going to be like, getting the band back together and it being whole. Like, if in a
Hmm.
perfect world, when Mikey came back, he would have just joined on to what we had going because we were the Kingdom outside the ring. I mean, there's plenty of pictures while Mikey's other places of the four of us together. We would have Christmases together, the four of us and our extended fams and stuff. And
Hmm.
it was as legit as it gets. And so to see him come back now and to see him come back into all this chaos, I think really threw a monkey wrench into any plans that we necessarily had in the back of our heads. But when it really comes down to it, it was always about Mikey and I. So whether the Kingdom's there or not, the nucleus, even of the original Kingdom, the nucleus was really me and Mike.
Yeah.
So to get that, just the two of us back together, especially after everything that's happened in the past year, is enough for me.
Yeah. And I think it's got to be worth mentioning too with the anniversary show. I feel like more than any of the annual events that Ring of Honor puts on, even including Final Battle, this is where it feels like, I mean, really any stage, honestly, but not the anniversary show specifically is where you shine. I mean, you look back at the last couple of years, you had a match with Jay Lethal that went to the time limit draw a couple of years ago for the World Championship, the match with Cody the year before that, and all the other matches that you've had at the anniversary show over the course of your time in Ring of Honor. I don't know if you could say this is your favorite event to compete on, but do you have any personal association with the anniversary show every single year? Because this year will be no different. Obviously, one of your biggest matches to date. Do you feel that same relationship with the pay-per-view, or again, is it really not something you think about when you go into an event like this?
110%. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 6 years old. And like you, I probably thought, oh, this guy always kills it at this pay-per-view, or this is when, this guy usually shines.
Yeah.
My first Ring of Honor pay-per-view, my first night under contract was the anniversary show, the 11th anniversary show, and me and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor television title. And
Wow.
winning on that night, I think really set a tone for me going forward that this was my event. And like you mentioned, I've had some great memories at the anniversary show, but I think nothing compares to the 2019 anniversary where me and Jay Lethal went an hour. You know, I say that match is more important than Madison Square Garden, and in reality, it probably is, because without that match, there isn't any Madison Square Garden. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, and maybe to a lot of other people, there was, maybe to yourself, because I've seen you say a couple things about me that hasn't been always positive. So I think I probably, you know, prove to a lot of the Melvins out there that everything that you've ever thought about Matt Taven is probably wrong. And I enjoy proving it every single time at the anniversary show, because to me, that's almost like a new year. When I started at the anniversary, it's like every year afterwards that's clicks a new one in Ring of Honor. So going 60 minutes with probably one of the greatest of all time, Jay Lethal, is definitely something that I'll always put on the mantle as one of my finest accomplishments.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like you said, it was between that match and then you won the world championship. I mean, just a month later. So obviously 2019 was a big year. Went on to reign as Ring of Honor world champion for the next 6 months after that. Before you recently reunited with Bennett, you were kind of on your own for a little while. He came back late last year. We had the Ring of Honor relaunch in late 2020. But before that, from the time that Vincent betrayed you in late 2019 up until last year, you were kind of flying solo there for a while. For the first time in a long time. I mean, obviously you had Mike Bennett the first time in the original Kingdom. There was the New Kingdom. You were even in a couple of different stables before that point, the House of Truth years and years ago. Was it weird to kind of fly solo for the first time in a long time? Obviously, you've proven yourself as a single star, being a former world champion, but not having any allies or partners there for a very short period for the first time in many years. Was that a weird experience for you? Or again, is it just kind of something that comes naturally?
No, I mean, if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that they suspended the Kingdom from ringside for all my title matches. So every single title match that I had, and I dare you to go back and watch them again, because I can't say one of them that I'm not proud of. Maybe the one at Best in the World, we got our legs cut out from under us. But
Mhm.
besides that, you could go back and watch every single one of them, and it's just me out there by myself doing exactly what I do, showing people why I am Ring of Honor World Champion and will be one again.
When you lose the Ring of Honor World Championship a year and a half ago, there's all these rumors. Oh, what's the future hold for Matt Taven? You stick around the Ring of Honor. You're obviously one of the biggest faces in that promotion. And I think I mean, obviously, I'm coming from an unbiased standpoint here. I think it's safe to say it's one of the best products going right now from a weekly standpoint, not even counting like the pay per views. We've only seen Final Battle, but like week to week, one of the best weekly products in wrestling right now. You see that success for the promotion. And even before that point, what are your biggest motivating factors creatively and just kind of just in general to stay with Ring of Honor, a promotion you've been with for so long now, and kind of be one of the helms of this ship that is the promotion?
Um, to me, loyalty, and I think that comes back to Vinny and I,
Hmm.
loyalty means everything to me. Um, Going back along, and it's why, you know, it's why me and Mike Bennett can pick up right where we left off, because I'm loyal to the people that are good to me. And Ring of Honor has always been good to me. Not only did they give me my first opportunity, but that night in Philadelphia where we lose the tag team championships, I blow my ACL out on the infamous floor of the ECW arena, and Mike and Maria are heading out the door to TNA. I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I didn't know if Ring of Honor wanted me to stick around. I wasn't sure about anything, and my contract was expiring when I was staring down knee surgery happening in a couple of days. So I was unbelievably nervous during that time. And you know, people reach out and they ask you certain questions, and they wonder what your status is. But a lot of people, they kind of say like, oh yeah, recover, and we're definitely interested, but you know, we want to see how you recover. And you don't know how you're going to recover. You've
Hmm.
never been through anything like this. And Ring of Honor didn't say that to me. They said, we know that Matt Taven will dedicate himself to getting back here and being 110%. And we want that guy on our team. And they offered me something while I was hurt, which is just kind of something that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And man, that happened 5-6 years ago, and I have never forgotten it since.
Yeah.
Um, so I always find the sense of pride, and I always will want to be here at Ring of Honor. Who knows what the future will hold? But in my heart, I will be with Ring of Honor forever. And I have this sense of pride in a place that shows so much loyalty and pride towards me. I was here at our first pay-per-view. You know, I was doing the pay-per-views before that. I watched the crowds get bigger and bigger. I watched the publicity get bigger and bigger. And I always kind of felt this sense of pride of like, yes, I'm part of this groundswell, this movement.
Mm-hmm.
And since the pandemic, I honestly will challenge anyone out there to say that any product touches Ring of Honor. I think that, you know, the peer tournament was unbelievable. Jonathan Gresham has been the absolute MVP since the return of Ring of Honor. And maybe I'm biased as well, but I think that pay-per-view, weekly TV, Ring of Honor is putting out the best stuff out there. So definitely there was always that sense of pride in me to be a part of this thing, to keep it going, and to make sure that it is the best product humanly possible. And when you look at this roster right now, from the Banditos to the Brian Johnsons to the Danhausens to Dak Draper, I mean, those guys, those are the young guys. You know what I mean? We're not even talking about the Briscoes, myself, Lethal, you know, Dalton, the guys who are established here. The young guys coming up are so good that I know Ring of Honor is going to be in great hands for years to come. And I just want to help out as much as I possibly can to continue the tradition, to give back to Ring of Honor the life that they've given me.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this pay-per-view alone and the card that's on tap for it and the matches that are going to be happening on Friday. The roster is unbelievable. And I think now more than ever, just the roster, you guys are killing it in every cylinder going into this show. Every match is some sort of a story behind it for the most part, aside from your own, for obvious reasons. Do you have a match that you're looking forward to seeing on Friday? I mean, obviously, your match is completely independent of everything else, given the circumstances. But is there a match that you look on this card saying, okay, this could be a show stealer. This is a match I'm looking forward to, given the level of talent involved?
Well, I probably will have to watch it back after the show itself, because I will be off location from the Baltimore taping. But I'll tell you this much: when Ring of Honor puts those hype videos out, and geez, no one can touch them on that right now as well. But that Jay Briscoe EC3 video, where Jay Briscoe talks about, like, you know, I've been on this farm, no one else is going to ever take me off this farm. That man, that gets me every single time, because that's Jay Briscoe. You know what I mean? He's a guy that he'll put the Ring of Honor flag into the ground and he'll defend it proudly. And anyone that wants to come into this company, if you really, really want to test yourself and you think you're the upper echelon of Ring of Honor talent, well, there's no better person to test yourself against than Jay Briscoe. So I'm looking forward to EC3, Jay Briscoe, probably, you know, besides myself, more than any other match. I mean, but the whole unbelievable, Dak Draper, Jonathan Gresham, I mean, that match is going to be unbelievable. Jay Lethal versus Rouge, two of my greatest rivals. Rouge, a guy that I mean, in reality, the feud that I have with Rouge in Mexico probably is what leads me to success here in Ring of Honor as a singles person in 2019. But then again, at the same time, Jay Lethal, who every time I turn around, it seems like Jay Lethal's there, whether it's the television championship or the world championship. Throughout my entire career here in Ring of Honor, he's probably been my greatest rival. To see those two kind of clash horns, no pun intended, I think I'm going to have to sit down and enjoy, you know, two of my most feared rivals or most hated rivals. To watch them beat each other up instead of me having to do it, I'll take that night any day of the week.
Yeah, no, that should be a fun world title match. You know, Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe, guys along with yourself that have been at the helm of Ring of Honor for so long now. For you, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, did you notice a certain point where you kind of transitioned into a leader role behind the scenes because you've been there for so long? Or was it something that you just was it such a gradual process you didn't even notice it?
The latter. It was such a gradual process that it threw me off when I finally realized it. When guys started coming up to me and started saying, like, oh, well, you know, you're one of the leaders around here. You know, I'm like, well, I am. Because when I first got in there, you know, it was Kevin Steen, it was Roger Strong, it was Eddie Edwards. And, you know, I miss those guys. Roddy really could get could really command a locker room. And still to this day, there's so much respect for him in our locker room just because of the presence that he had before going elsewhere. And to kind of think of myself almost going into that role, I almost feel like, oh, I'm not worthy of that yet. But man, it's the 19th anniversary, and my first match was at the 11th anniversary under contract. So I think I am kind of forced into that role at this point after everything that I've seen go down in Ring of Honor. But at the same time, like I said before, you know, I have this loyalty towards the company because it's always been good to me, and it's been unbelievably good to all of us during this pandemic, taking care of us, making sure that when we did return to tapings, that they did it in the safest way possible. Like I don't think Ring of Honor gets enough credit as they deserve for exactly what they've done for all the guys and girls up and down the roster during this pandemic. But needless to say, you know, I'm looking at all those young guys, like I said, coming up and watching how good they are. And any way that I can help them so they can continue to give back to the company that's given me so much, I'm all for.
Yeah, and it's cool too because especially in the last year or two, it seems like the roster is only continuously growing. I would say even probably more now than ever before, where it's not like it's not like a revolving door of talent like some other promotions. You guys are just holding on to the talent and then building onto it with the guys that you have, which I think is very unique and more so than any other promotion out there right now. Is there anyone out there that you see that isn't with Ring of Honor that you say to yourself, selfishly you would like to work with? But more
Andrade.
so than that, what was that?
Andrade.
I was
mean,
gonna kind of move.
La Sombra is the man. Whatever whatever name he wants to come by and Ring of Honor, I'm A-okay with. I've seen him in Mexico, Japan. We bumped past, and obviously watched him in NXT and WWE, and he is unreal. And I think that he would fit perfect in the Ring of Honor locker room and on that roster. And man, if this is a sales pitch, come home. You know a lot of people in this locker room. You have a lot of good friends here. So, you know, there's. I think a greater point that you bring up is the fact that this is no longer a place that people come and go. For years, you know, Ring of Honor, for some people looked at it as a kind of an audition to go elsewhere. And I think with guys like the Briscoes, myself, Jay Lethal, re-signing and staying, Roosh re-signing and staying, like all these top guys that are in the company that say like, no, this is our home. You know what I mean? This is where we want to be. This is where we like to be. This is, you know, where we find ourselves to be the happiest. And I think it's trickled downwards to other guys that have seen, you know, okay, you know, this is no longer going to be a place that kind of could have turnover from time to time. This is going to be a place that's very stable, and I'm going to have to work hard to break through the kind of ranks up here because these guys aren't going anywhere. So I think there's definitely a mindset change in Ring of Honor, not just internally, but I think now you're starting to see it externally. This is a roster that we are going to build upon, and we are going to continue to grow with what I truly believe is the best wrestling on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you could see that with all the talent on the roster right now. And it is worth noting that Andrade La Sombra doesn't have a 90-day no-compete clause. So Friday is a possibility from what's just saying. You never know.
Hey, you know, if you want to, Andrade, if you want to take the week and think about it, I'll see you Saturday, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I think it's more a matter of when than if. And like you said, I think you'd fit perfectly with the Ring of Honor vibe. Final two questions for you, Matt. With everything that you've accomplished in Ring of Honor, you're one of the few Grand Slam champions in that promotion, former world champion, 6-man champion, world, everything. Having done all of that, what are your goals then turn to? Obviously, continuing to build a brand of Ring of Honor that we spoke about this entire time because you're obviously very passionate about it, which is awesome. In addition to that, do you have any goals like, okay, I want to do this, or is it really, again, just continuing to succeed? I didn't really put that well, but you kind of understand.
No, I get it. See, the funny thing is to me is I get this question from time to time, and I don't think of myself as like, I've done everything around here. To me, and maybe this is my personality, maybe it's because I hear the things around me, but to me, I have so much left to prove. I mean, I've never won the pure title, which I don't know if I can handle the octopus, because watching him wrestle in pure rules blows my mind sometimes. But I would love to challenge myself in that sense. But to me, also, like, the two goals that I have in my mind is obviously regaining the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship with Mike Bennett, something that we obviously haven't done in 5 to 6 years. Because to me, I hated the way that story ended. We were such a great team. We had a 2-year run that it feels like it lasted so much longer than it actually did. We succeeded so much, and for it to end the way it did, with me getting hurt and him leaving, and kind of no real period to the end of the sentence, just kind of like, and it faded away. Always kept me up. Like it was sadly, when I thought about the team, I would think about that, how it ended.
Yeah.
And that's not how I wanted to ever think about it, because it was probably one of the funnest, best times of my career and life. So that's something that is rewriting how that story ended, is something that is on my mind constantly. But at the biggest thing that will always stick with me is that I still feel like I have a lot to prove to people as world champion. When 2019 came around, we knew what was happening. We knew that that there was a shift happening, and half our roster left in one night. And to look down the barrel of rebuilding and to say, like, I'll take that challenge on, throw it on my shoulders, is something that I'm proud of. But I think there was a lot of people that had doubts of me, including you, who I think that I made you eat your words every single time I got in the ring. But there's still a big part of me that says not enough people saw that, because of the transitioning happening in the wrestling world. And I want that title back, just to prove to the Melvins out there that had any sort of doubt that there's a reason why I was world champion. And if you miss the matches that I put on as world champion, well, let me have that title again, and I'll show you one more time exactly why I think I deserve to be the world champion again. So there's definitely a big part of me that has a lot left to do in Ring of Honor. And I look around, I see the Jay Lethals, I see the Jay Briscoes, multiple time world champions, multiple time tag champions, and I say, I want a legacy like that one. So to me, as much as I've accomplished in Ring of Honor, there's still so much more left to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think a lot of people kind of missed that as well. So hopefully we'll get to see that in the future. Like you said, there were a lot of critics of the world title reign, including myself. You were 100% right with that. But I can lay claim to have been there for the world title win itself, which I will say was an awesome moment. Having been a longtime follower of your career dating back to 09, being there in MSG for that moment was just magical. So hopefully we could see something like that again in the future. The last question for you, kind of going back to that, I've been a fan of yours since 2009, since the Northeast Wrestling days. You've been obviously very involved with NEW over the last decade plus. How have you seen that transition kind of grow over the last 10 years, and your involvement with them and becoming a face behind the scenes and their growth over the last 10 years? Because as a fan, it's been awesome to say.
Well, I mean, for me personally, very similar to how I feel about Ring of Honor. Northeast Wrestling was one of the first places that really gave me an opportunity, believed in me. I became Northeast Wrestling champion at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. And it's just, I have so many fond memories. And when I ended up signing an exclusive contract to Ring of Honor, I didn't want to leave Northeast Wrestling, and told them, like, hey, anything I can do to help, I'm here for, because I love this place. I love being around the Northeast Wrestling fans. I love Bethany, Connecticut. And it's something that, again, I'm very loyal to the people that are loyal to me. And Michael Lombardi has always treated me good, and I will never forget that as long as I live. So the way I really kind of have given back to Northeast is saying, like, hey, this guy is next. This guy is coming up. This guy's good. Whether it was Flip Gordon, who then ended up kind of taking the same route as me, TK, obviously, Christian Casanova, who just got signed. Like, these are all guys that I saw basically day one of their training and said to, Michael Lombardi, hey, these guys are going to be good. And thank God that Michael, is an open ear and listens to some of my suggestions when I'm probably like, this guy's going to be really good. Don't leave him behind. I mean, like, Brad Hollister, I remember wrestling him at like 19 years old and telling, everyone that would listen at Northeast, like, this guy is going to be, he's going to be great. And now he's the NEW Live champion. And to me, I'm just trying to keep the tradition that got guys like me, Mike Bennett, and Tommaso, Hansen, all into Northeast Wrestling. I'm just trying to keep that rolling because New England has always been such a hotbed of independent talent. And there's so many great schools up there. It's like, everyone's almost in the pressure cooker and it's sink or swim in New England. So there's so many guys that I see that are just out there grinding. And I'm like, this guy's going to make it. That guy's going to make it. Give this guy a shot. And if I can bring those guys into Northeast Wrestling, I know that will be the premier company of New England because I'm trying to make sure that the guys that are out there grinding, giving it their all, trying to get better every single day, even if they don't see it yet. I'm trying to make sure that they get in front of Northeast Wrestling to make sure that the best talent in New England is in Northeast.
Yeah, it's an awesome platform for people to kind of, showcase their skills, grow. Like you said, Flip Gordon has grown tremendously over the last 5 years. A lot, largely thanks to Northeast Wrestling. Dijak as well. I don't know if he was in Northeast Wrestling first or Ring of Honor, but he was doing Ring of Honor or Northeast appearances while in Ring of Honor, and now he's elsewhere. So it's, it's been cool to see. Any update on when we could be seeing shows again? Is that further down the road when it becomes safer? Any thoughts on that? It's hard to say, obviously. I know.
Well, you'll have to ask the state of Connecticut. I mean, honestly, I know Michael's looking at it at all times. He wants to get back. There's such a great, and I brought up Bethany, Connecticut. The Bethany Town Hall is one of my favorite places to wrestle in. And I've been fortunate to wrestle in some pretty historic places, but I'll have fond memories of Bethany, Connecticut forever. So to get back there, obviously, is a goal of ours. We have been doing the studio tapings and stuff like that, putting it on our Pivot Share, the Northeast Wrestling Pivot Share on the High Spots Network.
Yep.
But it's not the same as just being in front of that Northeast crowd, and especially with the spring and summer coming up. Normally, we're preparing for the stadium shows, for the baseball stadium shows.
Wrestling Under the Stars,
Yeah, Wrestling Under the Stars. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. As of right now, there's no set date on any return, but the fact that things are slowly opening up from place to place. I'm hoping that, not just for myself, because, I can't wrestle there. I can go and watch the shows, but I am a fan myself. So for me and all the other Northeast fans, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that, within the next couple of months, maybe we can have a date set. Maybe we can even get limited amount of people in the building, whatever the case may be. I am ready to see the Northeast Wrestling fans again. And I think that they're ready to see Northeast Wrestling action again. And the same thing goes with Ring of Honor. We've done an amazing job of catering the product to not having fans. But when it comes down to it, there is absolutely nothing like a rabid Ring of Honor fan base. And when you whack that mat and you hear no sound, it's kind of like, oh God, it's so much harder to get up. But when you hear people screaming and yelling, even if they're telling you suck, man, it makes life a lot easier. And I'm looking forward to the day that I can wrestle in front of a live crowd again.
Helps with that adrenaline too, I'm sure, especially in like grudge matches and shit like that.
Without a doubt. I mean, to think that not only did I return from 2 surgeries, but Mike Bennett returned and there wasn't, and the OGK came back together and hugged it out right in the middle of the ring. And unfortunately, there were no fans to witness it live.
Yeah.
It hurts. It stinks, because you're like, man, I watch it when it came on TV. I was like, that's a great moment. Could you only imagine if people were around? And so I think we're all just kind of jonesing for that moment because we're artists, we're entertainers, we're performers, we're athletes, and every athlete wants to show off what they do best in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. And even without fans, the show's still going to be great on Friday. Ring of Honor, 19th anniversary show. It's going to be awesome live on pay-per-view and Honor Club. Matt, this has been great, dude. You were involved in the very first Northeast Wrestling match I ever saw in 2009 in Waterbury, Connecticut against, oh God, I think, was it Robbie Echoes maybe? Or no? Forgot you would face that night. It was one of those people. Obviously now Robbie E or Robert Stone or whatever his name in
I
NXT
think
is,
it
but
was Romeo Roselli.
it was, yeah, it was Romeo. He faced,
Roselli in Waterbury. Yeah.
okay, yeah. It was May 1st or 2nd, 2009. And my dad, and he always asked about you too. He's like, oh, when's Matt Taven come back with Northeast Wrestling? I'm like, this is why I had to ask you, because I'm like, he's always asking me when the shows are coming back. So hopefully soon. But yeah, no, it was great, dude. And you were a big part of the reason why I started Ring of Honor, watching Ring of Honor, because I knew you were involved with it, 8 years ago. So thanks, dude. Again, despite my criticisms of certain points of your career, always been a big fan, dude. It's been great knowing you. So I appreciate it. And people can check you out on Friday with Vincent in the unsanctioned matchup. And people can follow you on the socials as well. So Matt, thanks so much for the time, dude. I appreciate it.